Hey guys, so today we're going to talk a little bit about recovery. And I know that when I first put out this FAQ, one of the most common questions I got, aside from self love and body image, was about recovery. And kind of the precedent was okay, well, how long did it take you to recover? How did you start recovering? I know in the beginning it's always the hardest, so that's kind of what I'm going to focus on today. Um, One of the first questions I got was, how did you start tackling fear foods? And when I think about my first ever pint of Ben and Jerry's, because I was on Instagram all the time, looking at food I wasn't eating and that I wasn't enjoying, and I remember really wanting to do a pint challenge, and it scared the hell out of me to eat a whole pint of ice cream, something that I didn't even allow myself to have a scoop of. And anyways, I bought one, and I was really nervous about it. And I remember calling my mom, and it was just like, I don't know if I can do this, and I was just overreacting. And she said something to me. She said, you can afford it. You can afford that pint of ice cream. You need it. And I know that what she meant was like, you can afford to gain weight. You're too skinny. You need it. You can afford it. But when I think back on it, it really got me thinking about that phrase, afford it. And the reality is, whether you're underweight, whether you're overweight, if you're struggling with an eating disorder, if you are trying to recover, you can afford eating whatever you want. And I mean that, because the reality is you can afford to be happy. It's not you can afford to gain weight. It's not you can afford, extra calories. You can afford to recover. You deserve to recover. You deserve to be happy, and you can't put a price on that. So that just really helped me. I kind of repeated that to myself, and it's a process. You start with some ice cream. You start next week with some chips, things that when you haven't allowed yourself to have something for so long, it's going to feel scary, it's going to feel forbidden, but food shouldn't be. And you know that in your heart, and it's just a matter of practicing it and making yourself believe it. And don't be scared if, for however long, when you buy something that you restricted for so long, if you go crazy on it. I don't like to use the word binge, but, if you eat a lot of something more than you normally would, that's okay. Your body has been deprived of it, and it's trying to tell you, or rather than trying to tell you, it's feeling like, oh, this is the only chance I'm going to get this, so I'm going to get all of it. And that's going to happen. Be prepared for it. But know that eventually it stabilizes. I never thought I would be the person who could buy a pint of ice cream, have it in my freezer for a week, and eat some, every night or every couple nights. That never seemed realistic to me, because I'm the person who always cleared her plate, who always planned her calories and then finished them, because it was rigid. And that's not the way eating needs to be. I talk about intuitive eating, and that really goes hand in hand with recovery, because the more you challenge yourself with fear foods, the more natural they're going to become, and you're not going to feel every time like, I have to finish all of it because I'm not going to get it again. Intuitive eating will kick in. Keep challenging yourself. Keep buying those things. And if you eat a lot of it, if you eat all of it, okay. You won't always. You just have to practice. And then the other thing that a lot of you asked was, how long did it take you to recover? Well, if you go back and scroll through my Instagram, and if you look really hard and scroll really far back, you'll find lots of posts of me saying, I feel so recovered, this is the freest I've been in a long time. And if I go back and look at those, I think, wow, like that wasn't recovery, this is recovery. And I kid you not, that's happened like 3 times. And I think that's because recovery is not a constant. It's a ever-changing journey, and that's not to say that recovery isn't completely possible, that you're always going to have these tendencies. I used to believe that. I used to think that you could never fully recover from an eating disorder. But now I think that you're always recovering from an eating disorder, and you just get more comfortable, you get more experienced, and you feel more free with every step that passes. Maybe it's true that recovery isn't a place, but a constant process of finding yourself, of taking back the things that your eating disorder stole from you. And that happens for me at least a couple times a week. Where I think one of the biggest things was I was in the market and I was putting cream cheese and butter into my cart, and I just thought, wow, this is big. And I wasn't even considering it at the time, but when I thought about it, I realized this is recovery. It's everything that makes up those little things. And if you ask me, when did you feel recovered? Well, several times. And every time I do, it's a different milestone. So don't try and put time limits on yourself. You've got your whole life to figure this out, and you are doing your best, going at your pace, and that's really all you need to be worried about. And aside from that, challenging your fear foods, going at your own pace, and also just remembering that loving your body goes hand in hand with recovery. And when people ask me, when did you start to feel normal again? You know, that also comes after when did you feel completely recovered. I say I started to feel normal when I gave my body the love and respect it deserves regardless of how it looked. When I felt bloated and I said, I love you, body. When I didn't feel like eating and I said, I'm going to eat because I need to, because I deserve to, because I can afford to. And, you know, I just think that when you're going through recovery, those are the things that you need to keep in mind. And, of course, I'm always here if you have any other questions. You can shoot me an email at healthyeasysweet@gmail.com. And anything else you want to see in the FAQ, just go ahead and tell me, guys, and I'll put it in for you.